Hey, what's up, guys? Today I wanted to talk really briefly about the transit that's going on right now. That's a square between Saturn and Neptune. So, what's a square, first of all? It is when two planets or two signs are at an angle. And this angle is pretty challenging. As far as the signs, it's when a sign is four signs away from the sign that you are looking at. Like, for example, right now, Saturn is in the sign of Sagittarius. You count four signs from Sagittarius, including itself. That's Sag, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces. Bing, Pisces, squares, Sagittarius. So, Neptune is in the sign of Pisces. Saturn is in the sign of Sagittarius. So, just those two energies alone, the energy of Pisces and of Sagittarius, are challenging each other right now. And because these are based on two planets that are furthest away, that means they have longer orbits, longer transits that last a long time, and affect us more as a collective than slower moving planets that are closer to the Earth. And I know that may sound complicated for some of my non-astro geeks out there, but the energies also of Saturn, which represents structure, discipline, order, tradition, the way that things should be and always have been. It's maturity. It's versus Neptune, which is like a hippie. They are such a free spirit. It's like compassion for one another no matter who or what you are. It's dissolving boundaries. That means dissolving the boundaries between the self and other people. It's divine creativity that comes from an unseen source, or the divine, or God, or the universe. It's energy that you get, creativity that you get, intuition, insight that you get that other people cannot really see. And you can't really produce tangible proof of it always. And Saturn represents tangible proof of the tried and true. It's always been this way. It's been done this way, proven. So therefore, it is. Now, these two energies are challenging each other right now. And what does that mean for us as a collective? So since Saturn represents tradition, it's like the old school way of doing things. Saturn in the sign of Sagittarius is beliefs. It's like your beliefs that you've always had. It's like traditional religious beliefs, for an example. And then Neptune is spiritual. It's more like, don't try to categorize and define what it is that I believe, what source of energy that I receive my spirituality from, how I practice my spirituality and my belief in something greater. Don't try to categorize that. It's just here, and it is, and I don't need to define it. The fact that these two energies are like going at it right now is really showing up a lot. I'm on social media, and what I see are as some examples of the challenges. Well, number one, because I'm an astrologer, and what we do is very Neptunian in a way. We look at what is beyond this earth, what you really cannot see unless you get a telescope or some sort of like advanced NASA equipment, for example. It's really, really hard to see what it is that we are interpreting. We're looking at the stars, the planets, we're doing calculations and all this stuff. But, the calculation part is not really Neptune. It's more like Uranus, it's this nerdy scientific stuff. But the Neptune part is we can feel the energy shifts based on what's going on up there. As above, so below. We can just feel that intuitively, and we can interpret it. Astrologers, we do that. That's part of what we do. Is very Neptunian. Tarot readers. Tarot reading is very Neptunian too. You channel the messages from the beyond, from an unseen source, and you do produce some proof of it in a card, but you have to interpret a picture, and the picture part is very Neptune. It's using your imagination, but not just imagination stuff that you're making up. It's like use your intuition to decode and interpret a picture, okay, a piece of art, and just feel out how it applies to another person, which requires you tuning into them on like an unseen level, okay, and then producing answers for them. Saturn does not like that. Sagittarius, the energy of Sagittarius rules like organized religion, okay? Like you got to read a religious text and you got to follow it, and there's traditions behind it. And Saturn traveling through Sagittarius right now is really trying to make sure that people follow through with sticking to those traditions when it comes to their organized religion. And anything that challenges that, they're going to fight right back and be like, no, that's not what it's supposed to be. So when these two energies butt heads like that, you see, like I said, we astrologers are being challenged right now. I've seen a lot of people come up with posts, even other astrologers say, well, in order for us to be taken seriously, we have to start earning certificates and degrees and going to specialized schools for astrology, because any idiot can claim themselves to be a professional astrologer. Now, to an extent, I do see their point, and I see the intent behind it is to make sure that we are taken seriously. And I totally agree with that. But the Neptune part is, you know what? We just know. We just know we shouldn't have to explain. We shouldn't have to produce a piece of paper or any type of material proof in order to prove that what we just know and we feel and we express. People should just tune into that along with us and say, oh, okay, I get it, But unfortunately, the whole world doesn't work that way. And very Saturnian people are trying to check us on it, trying to make sure that they let us know that we don't recognize what you do. It's not real, okay? And that's another thing is even some astrologer buddies of mine have been experiencing clients or potential clients really trying to be cheapskates, not wanting to pay for their services or pay the value of their services as astrologers because they see it as a hobby, right? Saturn sees Neptunian things as hobbies. It doesn't see creative things, spiritual, intuitive. It doesn't see those things as being real work, okay? Because Saturn is about hard work, like nose to the grindstone, like, building something material that they can see, like a structure or a building. And it's like, I keep mentioning following rules and traditions, like if a structured corporation with people who are accredited and qualified and have degrees and certificates to tell you what to do, what's professional, what's not, what is, what isn't. That's what Saturn wants to do, is structure things, okay? But then Neptune is like, I don't need any of that. I'm free to create, I'm free to feel, and I'm free to express. So more people who lean more towards the Saturn side of things, they don't really recognize what we do as a job. It's a job that does require skills and training and things, but not in the traditional way. And Saturn is about the traditional, okay? It's more like we can just absorb the information. We can tap into our intuition. We can tap into the divine source. And like I keep saying, the material, tangible proof is not completely necessary if you feel that it's right. So they don't see it as a hobby. Just like, for example, also people who are involved in creative fields like dancing, modeling, acting, producing some sort of art, like musicians, DJs, if you're a makeup artist, if you're a hairstylist, those are all ruled by Neptune. They're very creative, and you just kind of channel, your creativity from beyond. Okay, and prime example right there of what I was talking about. I am working, okay? I am recording, I am speaking, and people just park their behinds right in the way of me working and la 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 la, because they probably don't see me recording something by talking to my iPad is serious work and business, so they had no respect at all. But anyway, continuing on. If you're in a creative field, a spiritual field, the more Saturnian people that lean towards the Saturnian energy, they don't really see what you do as being real work, not knowing that yes, it does require money, investing, time, classes maybe you take, or maybe you're self-taught, but you spend so much time researching, writing notes, applying what you are absorbing to real life, to practice, to learn. You're maybe an apprentice underneath someone and still working hard. Like whatever you do that's creative, that's spiritual, it does require hard work. People are just not, they don't recognize that, you know. For an example, like my husband is great. I love him. He's so supportive now. But early on in our relationship, I was trying to DJ to make some money, you know, music, DJing. That's very like Neptunian. I treated it as a job, you know, like any other job. I packed up my stuff, my equipment. I had a checklist. I dressed, you know, in a certain way, especially if it was a wedding. Remember I was DJing a wedding. I dressed nice and professional looking. You know, I took it very seriously. I'm like, I have to be out the door at this time, and you know, I was so like professional with it. But he would stop me when I was on my way out the door and say, can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do this? And I'm like, you don't understand. I'm on my way to work right now. I have to be there at a certain time. And he just looked at me confused, you know. He looked at it as a hobby. But I'm like, no, this is a job, okay? Like, there's downloading music. There's organizing your music, purchasing music. There is buying your equipment, making sure your equipment's in order. There's practicing to make sure that your mixing sounds good. There's putting together playlists for a wedding. There's asking the client what they want. There's like so much involved, okay? It is work even though it's creative. But he looked at it as, well, this is a hobby, so, you know, and he's a Capricorn rising, so he totally didn't get it. So this is kind of some things that we're experiencing as a collective right now. If you're spiritual, if you're creative, people are challenging you. They're challenging what you are passionate about and what you believe in. That's the energy of Sagittarius. Now, also in the mix here is Mercury in Gemini right now. And I have seen and heard about some friends of mine, you know, who do have their own freelance business, whether if it's spiritual or creative or whatever, have people try to swindle them a lot more, okay? Like trying to lowball them, trying to say, well, how much do you charge for your services? And they tell them what it's really worth. And then the person says, good Lord, that's a lot of money. How about I pay you half now and half 6 months later? Or maybe, can you give me a bigger discount? I could pay you 30%. How about that? Really? Really? Are you serious? Are you bums for real? Now, it's not like what people do as their passion is only about money. Everyone deserves to get paid their worth if they do something for a living that they're passionate about. So for people to come along and not take them seriously and say, oh, why can't you just do this and that? You know, the swindling thing, I'm sorry, Geminis, I love you guys, but just one of the qualities of the negative side of Gemini is swindling, which if you don't know what that means, it's like you really try to bargain and negotiate with people and trick them into doing something that you know they don't want to do, but you try to sweet talk them and manipulate them with words, you know. So with Gemini squaring Neptune and Pisces, you know, that can create some people who can be a little bit dishonest. And then with Saturn in the mix too, it's like, so people are really going to be trying you. To my artists and my spiritual people, just watch out for that right now, you know. And then Saturn is right there saying, don't fall for that mess. Don't fall for that BS, okay? Like, and then Saturn's also checking the Gemini type of people, not necessarily have to be a Gemini sign, but the people that are just in general going towards that negative dark side of Gemini, which is manipulation and swindling. Saturn is sending an aspect to them that's like, yo, you can't do that, okay? You're going to have to learn. You're going to learn today to pay people what they're worth. Stop trying to swindle people out of the value, the true value of the services they provide or whatever it is. So people are really challenging one another right now. Another thing that I'm noticing is people are questioning other people's integrity and honesty a lot more right now. Even close friends, family members, relatives, whatever, that they work with or whatever, just looking at people a little bit more like, like skeptical, like, are you really telling the truth? And I believe that that's because Neptune is going retrograde right now. So when it goes retrograde, it's kind of like the usual fog that Neptune puts over people and things, like wanting to really see the good in someone or something, that you in your mind put this fog over it to like cover up flaws and know they're really a good person. Well, when Neptune goes backwards, goes retrograde, there's a little bit more clarity here, okay, as far as people and things that you didn't see clearly before. So, you know, Neptune retrograde is in the mix. People are looking at people like, really, you know what, I'm seeing now that your integrity is like, I got to question it now, you know, how true you are, how much you tell the truth. Do you even tell the truth? I've been seeing people and hearing of people dropping even long-time friendships and relationships lately with this energy because they're starting to see the light and the truth behind a person. Saturn and Sagittarius is all about the truth, and Saturn is strict. Okay, if it catches somebody in a lie, it's like, nope, you gotta go, and you are never coming back in my life again. I will never believe anything that you say. All in all, people are getting checked right now, okay? People are getting checked as far as truth and honesty. And not only that, they're being tested, okay? You're being tested a lot right now because Saturn is like an old professor in like a college. He's giving people an exam of how true they are, how much they're telling the truth, what they're believing in, what they're speaking about and their perception of things. Like, it's all being cleared right now, and like you're being taught lessons, and like I said, friendships, relationships, old ways of believing things are having to be dropped or changed, or a new way gained, because Gemini, which Mercury is in right now, is also all about the new. So getting rid of old ways of doing things, because Gemini is all about the new, and then Saturn is all about the old school, you do it this way because it's always been that way. So it's kind of challenging that right now. Like, no, I don't want to do it that way anymore. I want to do something different, and then try this and try that and try this and try that, So I know this is a little bit scattered, but you know what? All in all, with this Saturn and Neptune square, Neptune is also challenging Saturn to believe in something more than what you see in front of you. I posted a little meme on my Instagram earlier today that is about believing in magic. If you don't look for magic, you won't find it, or something along those lines. And I think that is the Neptune energy squaring Saturn. It's like, look, just because it's not produced in front of you as proof, in traditional ways of proving things, doesn't mean that it doesn't exist, doesn't mean that it isn't real, doesn't mean that it isn't valid, doesn't mean that people are idiots for believing in it. Maybe it's just that you don't see or feel things in the same way that they do. Maybe it's just that your perception of life is like tried, true, and traditional, and it's always been. But that doesn't mean that everyone has to think that way. Everyone has to feel that way, and everything has to see what you see. A lot of people can see things way beyond the material world. And I know that Saturnian energy, the Saturn energy, likes to look at that as you're believing in fairy tales or things that are silly or fake. Or I read an article the other day about Nancy Reagan, because she passed away this year, and how the Reagans had a house astrologer, that helped Reagan throughout his presidency. And then there was I can't remember the name of like the federation or the corporation or the group, that said like, oh, they're basing their decisions about this country on fairy tales. And I'm like, here we go. That's another Saturn squaring Neptune energy, because Neptune, we just feel, you feel that things are right, and that this is the right time to take action without having to look at official and other people's determination of things being right. You just feel and you go with that feeling. And then Saturn's like, nope, if we didn't say it's right, if such and such group that's established and been there forever doesn't say that it's right, then it's not right, and it's fake and BS. So all in all, people, these are the challenges that we are all going through as a collective and individually in our own lives, depending upon your chart. If you don't know what your chart is, you can pull it up on Cafe Astrology or astro.com, just as two examples of two different sites. Have your birth time, your birth date, birthplace. They all have to be exact for you to know exactly how it's affecting you, or at least just the place and the date. You can see some things, but yeah, we're all being challenged right now. So stick to your beliefs, hold on to them, get rid of things that are no longer true for you, whatever that means for you. If it's like a person, like a relationship with a person that's no longer serving you because you see the truth, let it go and just let it go. If it's a belief that you had before, that you always have followed, but now you're seeing this isn't really true to me and I don't know if I believe in it, let it go. If people are challenging your beliefs, stick to them, okay? Because if it's what you feel is right for you, then stand by it. That's Saturn and Neptune square, and Gemini in the mix too. So if you have any comments or anything, any thoughts, I love this subject. I love this topic because it's just so like vivid and bright in front of me right now by even just being on Facebook or any social media outlet. It's all right there. The proof is all right there by looking around you. You won't find it if you're not looking for it. All right? All right, well, take care, guys. I will see you guys in my next video. Until then, peace.